Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video we are looking at signature weapon keys and which ones are worth your currency to spend on. I won't be going over the current standard banner characters because I talked about them already. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check that out. So we're focusing on future characters, but I'm going to try to give you enough information so you can make an educated decision whether you're a whale or free to play. I won't go into detail about every weapon key, but we will go over the important ones all the way to Hades banner. As always, feel free to ask questions down below. If I didn't cover something you was looking for, just ask, because if I cover everything in this video, it will literally be like a 2-hour long video. I'm not even joking. I've had to redo this video like 5 times already, and I gotta split up the video in order to make it reasonable to watch. But enough of that, let's get straight into it. In this video, we're going to briefly look at every signature key, and I'm going to rate each signature key either not recommended, recommended, or highly recommended. After I give the rating, I'll give a couple reasons for why I think so. This is not a should you pull video. This video is all about weapon key recommendations, or signature keys, or signature functors, whatever you want to call it. So this is assuming you already have the character itself. Let's go ahead and start with Sukiyomi. Sukiyomi, highly recommended. The reason you want Sukiyomi's key is because she's a pure damage dealer, and she's going to be one of the best damage dealers for a long time. Sukiyomi is a lot of people's first limited banner character, so it would be smart to invest in a powerful DPS early on, especially now when the game is still challenging and when you're still trying to get to a point where you can easily complete all weekly challenges. Sukiyomi's weapon key makes her skill 3 become one of the highest damaging skills in the game, so it's very powerful and very worth for your currency. Osiris, highly recommended. This weapon key is actually pretty stacked. It's one of the better weapon keys in my opinion. Almost all of Osiris's kit becomes enhanced when she has her weapon key. Everything but her skill 2. So first, Osiris gains 2 more trace, and she gains even more ultimate charge when using a skill chain. Also, her double cast of skill 1 now will not use any trace. If it stopped there, it would already be good, but there's more. She also gains a self-heal effect, and her skill 3 is also enhanced based on how much trace she has, which doubles down on the value because the key gives her extra traits. So this weapon key is pretty stacked. If you have Osiris, her weapon key is absolutely nuts. So it is a good investment if you decide to pull for it. And honestly, Osiris is heavily reliant on having her signature key. Hela's weapon key is another very powerful key. It doesn't do as much as Osiris's, but sometimes keeping it simple is good. Hela's weapon key adds a ridiculous amount of damage, and it also decreases her combat resource consumption, which allows her to get more shots off in her cannon form because her cannon shots actually cost a lot of divine grace. Very simple, but if you know Hela, you know all she needs is more damage for her to really pop off, and that's exactly what her weapon key gives. I will say this, Hela scales very hard the more you invest in her. 32% is a lot of damage, and it increases by 8% per transcendence. Those are high numbers, so Hela is one of the highest scaling characters in the game, which means you can kind of call her well bait, but she's good to have. I ain't saying that she's expensive to build or anything, but I would say that if you invest more into her, then you are going to see a very high payout. Hera, recommended. Okay, so with Hera, The reason I only have recommended is because Hera already brings so much value to the fight by herself, but if I'm being completely honest, Hera's weapon key is one of the most busted keys in the game, okay? Her key allows Hera to spam 0 time space a lot more than the average character. This does a couple things. For one, it makes fights with Hera a lot more safer and allows more opportunity for your damage dealers. For two, depending on the team composition, you can make some very overpowered teams based on 0 time space. If we look at the resource mimir, we can see that when AI uses the dodge effect, it will give the main character combat resources. So if Hera can spam 0 time space, this means we will have a steady flow of combat resources. I can go deeper into this concept, but I'll save that for another video. Just know that Hera is very overpowered, and one of the best investments would be to get her weapon key. It honestly opens up a lot of options. Skatie, not recommended. Skatie is not recommended because this key really doesn't do much. It will give Skatie another way to reduce ice resistance, and then she'll get a damage boost based on how much resistance you shred on the enemy. Now that counts for the whole team, so you want Poseidon on the team so she can shred resistance, right? Let's crunch the numbers though and see how much value we're actually getting. Poseidon can roughly provide 40% ice resistance shred, right? I'm being generous with that, okay? Well, 64% of 40% is 25%. That's not a lot, guys. She gets slightly more than just that 25% damage increase, but my point is, it's not much. I love Skatie. She's one of my favorite characters, but her signature key sucks. It really do. I can't recommend it. Now, I'll put this out here. The way I test characters, I test them at base S with signature key. So I test characters at a very base level. What I mean is, Skatie does seem to scale pretty high, so maybe she could be another well-bet character. Maybe I'll try to get another copy of her and see how she performs, but at base level, I don't feel the signature key is worth. Leviathan, not recommended. Okay, so I honestly might be the only person that actually built and used Leviathan, but as much as I like Leviathan, I would not recommend her key because her main role is to heal. She's the best healer in the game, and she's going to do her job whether you have her key or not. The only time I would recommend Leviathan's key is if you're a player like me. What I mean by that is you hate to use the pigment mirror, you avoid using it at all costs. Also, if you want a good debuffer for any melee damage dealer teams, then Leviathan is absolutely nuts. Leviathan goes from a healer support into the best debuffer in the game for melee damage dealers for some time. She's even more effective if she's supporting a water element damage dealer. So for anyone going for Osiris, she's going to be one of his best teammates. Hades, recommended. So first off, despite Hades pretty much being the top DPS in the game, her signature key is not all that great. Honestly, I was going to rate her key not recommended, but the fact that the general faction key is useless for Hades means that you have two choices: use a 4-star key or pull for her signature key. The only 4-star that's good for her is the one that gives crit, so that's decent, but let's be honest, who wants to put Hades in a 4-star key, bro? As for her signature key, it adds some damage. It's fixed damage though, so unless you transcend the key, then it's only going to do a fixed amount of damage. It doesn't scale with her attack or skill damage. It's a fixed amount of damage. It also adds an extra instance of damage when you cast her partner dance skill, but it pretty much equates to just another skill cast, so it will add up throughout the fight. But Hades is one of the few characters who really doesn't need her key, to be honest. She's a monster, guys. Like, honestly, Hades is the turning point in Aether Gazer. I'm telling you, y'all don't know power until you experience what Hades can do. So my advice, I would go for her key, but it's really not a priority. Trust me, Hades will do a lot of damage even with a 3-star key. She's that good. Okay, that's the end of the video, guys. If you notice, most signature keys are actually worth it, especially for your DPS. The fact that you can pull for your keys at any time and also can guarantee which key you get actually makes it good for free to play as well. It's honestly no surprise that most of the signature keys are useful because they obviously want you to spend money, right? So I would say they've done pretty well with the key system. Anyways, I'm sorry this took so long to get out. I've had to redo this video several times because originally this was going to be a very detailed, in-depth video, but it was becoming way too long, so I decided to give a more bite-sized version, and this is only part 1, so by the time Hades get here, I'm going to try to have part 2 already done. And when the new characters come out, I will go into more detail on a dedicated video, so stay tuned for that. But that's the end of the video, guys. It's your pixelated homie. Hope y'all have a good day. I'll catch you in the next one.